Hello, my name is Voya and welcome to My Deep Guide and to another edition of Q&A. I'm liking this new kind of bi-weekly type of a thing. It's actually a nice pace, so I'm gonna try and continue keeping this up in such a way. So, you've asked, I've collected some of the questions, so let's address them. And we start with question number 1. I am seeing screen protectors for sale for the Note Air 3C and the Note Air 3. Is there a reason to use that when part of buying the Note Air is about the note-taking experience? I'm just curious. It's a very simple answer, and the answer is no. These are garbage products that are just an exploitation. You do not want to put any kind of additional screen protector on a device that already has A, screen protector pre-applied, or B, screen protector like surface laminated on top of the screen. So Note Air 3, Note Air 3C, those are the devices that already have laminated paper-like screen protector on them, and you don't want to apply additional screen protector on it simply because it's gonna make writing worse, it's gonna make reflections worse, it's gonna add the distance from the screen more, it's gonna make the text fuzzier, and also because it's not a perfectly flat surface, because it's paper-like, it's going to be impossible to apply a screen protector of any kind perfectly without bubbles and things like that, because you can't clean it perfectly in the first place. So it's not a thing that should be. So the devices that you shouldn't be applying additional screen protectors to are Kindle Scribe, Remarkable 2, let's say Lenovo Smart Paper, which one? Well, of course, the Quadernos, no Quadernos, then Boox Note Air 3, Note Air 3C. Neither should you apply them to the Supernote as well, because they already have their own dedicated feel-right screen surfaces protectors. I was wondering, do you think the Supernote will go down the color route? Well, I don't think so. 2 reasons. Primarily is because they are staying away from the front light. And for a good reason. I really do like that they are staying away from that front light. Of course, some people will disagree. And in that case, it's really simple. Then this is not a device for you. If that's such an important thing that you have, then it's not a device for you. And I think that that should be considered as okay, that a device is has its own identity. And it knows, this is what I am, this is what I'm not, choose me for what I am, and don't nag about what I am not. Because there's plenty of other devices out there that can actually do these things. So, why it's not going to be a color route? Well, because Kaleido 3 screens are inherently dark. They are too dark to be used without a front light, and Rata seems to be staying away from the front light, for me a very good reason and a very good route, and therefore these two exclude each other, so I don't think so, not in the foreseeable future at the very least, or not until at least Kaleido screens become light enough that they do not require the use of a front light. These e-ink devices could be extremely useful to scientists and engineers like me if they accommodate and recognize mathematics. Basically, the device would need to have an onboard LaTeX engine. Does this exist anywhere? So, if so, the science community would adopt these devices in a blink of an eye. Well, not fully for the LaTeX thing, because that's a little bit more expandable, but you do have a bit of an alternative with the MyScript functionalities on the Kobo Ellipse 2E, Kobo Ellipse 2E. And that one does have the functionality, or the first one, it doesn't matter, they're the same. It does have the functionality of the advanced notebook, which has MyScript enabled there. So then you can do mathematics and formulas and all that kind of stuff. It's not LaTeX, but it is MyScript. However, the bad side of this is why aren't they really adopted everywhere then? Well, basically because the rest of the device is kind of like, the writing aspect of Kobo Ellipse 2E is really bad. There's no other way for it. They redesigned the pen and it's not good, and also the writing precision and everything is really, really bad. So we have this unfortunate situation where one device that does offer the advanced functionalities like MyScript, yeah, doesn't really lend itself well to writing. Now, on the other hand, you do have Boox devices which have full-on Google Play Store, where you definitely can download an app that would have LaTeX support. And you can use it for typing. So if you want to just type and use this device with LaTeX support, well, any Boox device will work because you can download any app that you want and then it works. Where the crux is if you want to handwrite and have LaTeX functionalities, well, that's where Boox won't work, because what you would need is actually an app that is optimized for e-ink screen refresh rates, so that it's very responsive, and have LaTeX functionalities inside, and I'm not sure that either Evernote or OneNote have those. If OneNote has it, then that's something that you can use, but if not, then not really, because what you will end up with is, if you try to use handwriting in an unoptimized app, is going to be unusable slowness, and yeah, that's where you hit the snag. Next question is in regards to the Boox Palma, and the user asks, could anyone help me? Should I get this or Boox Page? I'm not reading many books per year, 4 or 5, and I've had a tablet once and it was annoying to use for me because of its size. So I'm assuming Boox Page size will be as annoying as a tablet was for me. Should I get Palma? I'm not planning to use it as a phone replacement, but as an e-reader only. And I'm also I'm used to reading on a phone. And I mean, if this is a situation that you have, then I think the primary question that you would need to ask yourself is, do you need an e-ink device in the first place? Because Boox Palma is an e-reader, it's not a note taker, so you're not considering an e-ink device for its note-taking capabilities. So that whole thing of an argument is out the window. So the only thing that you wanted is for reading. And the e-ink benefit is battery-wise, which is not that much of a benefit on a Boox Palma because of the BSR. Its battery life is not that good, so that's also out of the equation. And then the only thing that's left is the health benefits of the e-ink screen, because it's less tiring on the eyes. But then you say also I'm used to reading on the phone, which means that, or suggests strongly, that you don't have difficulties of that type at all. And that leads me to a question: why do you want to buy an e-ink device in the first place? Because if you're used to reading on the phone and you don't find it as a problem, and you're not doing that much reading, if you're reading 4 or 5 books a year, is that really something that you can't do using the technology that you already own? And could you not maybe save up that money and then use it for something that you need more? So that's how I would approach a question or a consideration like this. Next one is in regards to my video that I made when I was comparing the writing quality between different devices. And the question says, hi, thank you for the video. Exactly what I was looking for. Glad to hear that. Still, there is 2 questions for me that remain unclear. 1, do you think the anti-aliasing can be improved over software updates? That's kind of what I'm hoping for with Kindle 2. Well, let me answer that immediately. Absolutely, unequivocally, yes. This is exactly how you can improve the anti-aliasing performance. The only way that is done is via software. So, yeah. Number 2, in the video you mentioned that the exported file is no vectors. Does it mean they can also be exported in vectors, at least on other than Kindle devices? Because I know that Kindle cannot do that. And the answer is yes. All of the ones that I compared can also export the PDF handwriting content as vectors. So Remarkable can do that, Supernote can do that, and Boox can do that, and you can choose and do that. And if you do it in that case, the results are going to be more or less the same. I think it might warrant the comparison as well, that I'm going to do a follow-up video on this one as well. to just see how the conversion is, because there are things where you can maybe overly optimize and then lose details when optimizing vectors. But generally speaking, yes, all of these devices can export handwriting in PDF documents as vectors as well, embedded as part of the PDF document, and then they are selectable, editable, and you can actually just select them and save them as an SVG and then edit afterwards if you want. But most importantly, the whole point of a vector is that it maintains infinite amount of detail. That's debatable, but definitely a lot more detail is retained than just a rasterized image. The negative side of it is that while the vector data is beneficial size-wise on illustration, so if, for example, if you have a regular illustration that's vector-based and you save that versus a 4K resolution image, then yes, vector-based illustration is going to be lower in file size than a 4K image of that same type of illustration. However, when you start actually using vectors as handwriting capturing tool, we're talking about curves upon curves upon curves upon curves, and that means hundreds of thousands of vector point and curves for, let's say, 20-25 pages worth of handwriting. And when you have that in equation, then when you're exporting a lot of handwriting, let's say a regular notebook for me is like 50 to 70 pages of handwriting, that's my regular stuff, and that is going to be way more heavier and larger in file size than if you exported the same thing as a PDF. So that's something that you need to kind of keep in mind, and that's why I was considering the bitmap comparisons here, and also to see like, okay, well, vector to vector, there's just the optimization thing that you can compare. Here, there's a lot more stuff that needs to be compared, and yeah, that's why I was doing it that way. Next one is in regards to the Tab Ultra C Pro review. Can we write on Kindle Books? You missed that important part. Well, no, I disagree. I didn't really miss it. I didn't cover something that never existed in the first place, because Kindle App, the Android Kindle app, never has and still doesn't have support for writing in Kindle Books. This is something that not even Kindle Scribe supports. It has those awkward sticky notes that don't really work. So no, you can't write on Kindle Books anywhere. Like, that's not a thing. Next one is in regards with the Boox Mira 13.3-inch e-ink display, so the computer display only, not the tablet. And he asks, thanks for the review. Have you tried using a music DAW with it? Thinking of getting one for using with Ableton Logic Pro and wondering if it's usable. I think that you would have a really bad time if you were to consider using that type of monitor for music production and any kind of DAW. Simply because it's, while there's not that much going on, you do have constantly scrolling left and right, up and down, when going between tracks and going within a track, so going between channels and things like that. And then you also have the vertical tracking line that's constantly moving forward and playing. That is an invitation for a ghosting nightmare bonanza. And I think that you're just gonna, when you combine that with rather slow refresh rates and monochromatic, yeah, that's a recipe for a really bad time. The next one is in regards to the update 3.10 on Remarkable 2, and the user says the archive capability is on the device, not in the desktop app. I have used it on several huge documents and it seems to be working fine. Thanks for the heads up. It's not how it actually looked like on their release notes, but my bad. Yeah, since then I definitely checked it out, and yes, it works, and it works well. So the only negative that I have is that there is no indication in the app itself which files are archived and which are not. And that would be a nice thing to just at least have a small like overlay icon that simply signals like which files are archived and which are not, and just to be able to do that kind of stuff, well, you know, at a glance, and that you don't have to remember these kinds of things. But yeah, definitely this is working. I think it's an important addition to Remarkable 2 that has such a limited storage capacity that it's an absolute must for any long-term, more serious type of use. Next comment is more of a comment, but it needs to be addressed, and it's in regards to the Remarkable 2 Connect subscription. And the user says, I believe the Connect service is advertised as quote-unquote unlimited cloud storage. Yes, you are correct. It is being advertised as unlimited cloud storage. But if you actually read the wording of the what do you get for that advertised unlimited cloud storage, that means unlimited time allowed for your files to remain undeleted on your cloud service, or basically on their servers. What does that mean? Well, that means that if you are not a Connect subscriber and you are using Remarkable, if you have files that you haven't accessed for over 50 days on your device, therefore synchronized with your cloud storage, they will be deleted from the cloud, not from your device. They will still be locally available on your device, but they will be deleted from your cloud account, Remarkable cloud account. Now, what happens if you synchronize that again? Do they get there or not? I'm not really sure, because I haven't really tried it, because I was grandfathered into having a Connect subscription, so I really don't know. But that's what they mean when they say unlimited cloud storage. They mean unlimited time allowed for files to remain unopened on their cloud storage. Now you tell me, is that false advertising or not? Another question in relation to the Remarkable, and the user says, I think you've heard of Remarkable hacks. Would you consider making a video on it, or wouldn't you, since it's a modification? My answer is no. I would not consider ever using them or making a video on them, because that is a modification, and any kind of modification is strictly prohibited by their terms and conditions of use. And it says, there's a section that says, copy, decompile, disassemble, reverse engineer, attempt to derive the source code of, decrypt, modify, that's keyword, modify, or create derivative works of the software or any part thereof. That's the stuff that's actually forbidden. And the keyword there is modify. Now, even if a Remarkable hack doesn't necessarily change the source code and it just builds up on top of it, that is still considered a modification of system itself, because you're installing onto the device, into the systemic part of the device, additional files. So you are modifying the system itself, and as such it is against the rules, and that's something that I won't be covering, because it's not going to be covered by the Remarkable warranty should something go wrong, and considering it's not officially supported by anyone, then yeah, you're kind of, if things go wrong, you're on your own. So that's a bit of a risk there. This next one is in regards with the Boox Note Air 3, and the user asks, do we know if writing latency consistency is fixed or will be addressed? And what the user is referring to, when I was doing the Testa writing latency test, the high-speed camera test, what I noticed on the Note Air 3 was that the line would be written consistently, nice and fast, and then it kind of stops for a couple of milliseconds, and then it goes again and then stops, and then goes again and then stops. And that was consistent through every try that I actually did. So far, Boox Note Air 3 has not received any updates since it was released, so I know that this hasn't been fixed yet or addressed in any way. Whether it will be addressed or fixed, I really don't know, because they haven't mentioned that. But I do know that they do watch my videos, and maybe they will take it into consideration and maybe fix it. I don't really know. In reality, it's not something that a naked eye can see at all. You will perceive it as a little bit of a slower writing latency thing. Still faster than the Remarkable 2, or as fast as Remarkable 2, for example, so really, really good. But it does give, if it was fixed, it would be perceived as even faster. So that's why I think that that fix is something that would be a worthwhile thing for Boox. Next one is in regards with the Supernote platforms generally. From latest updates, they've introduced a new palm rejection type of bug and behavior. And the user says the disappearance script seems to be, or bug, Seems to be due to the software. It also happens on the A5X with the latest update. Also, when using the region eraser, part of the trace of the pen stroke remains. It disappears with the refresh. So there are two bugs that are currently present on the Supernote platforms with the latest updates on both of them, A6 or AX2 and the AX platforms. And one is regarding the strokes, basically while you're writing and your palm is on the surface, and as you are writing, the stroke will, sometimes it will happen that the stroke will disappear, but then you hit a refresh and then it appears. So that they've identified, I've communicated with them, and they've identified that it's a refresh related bug, and that's something that they're either resolved or are working on resolving. And the second one that was introduced with the new update is when you're writing, it's their gesture thing, recognition of two fingers on the screen, that they can act as a selection tool or as an eraser. And the problem here is that the recognition is basically just reading these two, and then it just creates that kind of a bug thing. Hopefully it's something that they will be resolving, and I know that I've addressed this before, but it keeps popping up, and as long as it keeps popping up, I'll keep addressing it so that people know that what it is. And what I do know is that the Supernote team is aware of both of these things and they are working on them, so hopefully next update will have these things, fairly annoying ones. They are objectively very annoying, and that's why I'm addressing them continually. Hopefully they will prioritize this and then kind of issue maybe a fix for these things and roll that out, rather than wait for a whole new version and then the fix is just a part of that, because this is a bigger problem than, it's not just like a small fix that can wait for another update. This is a bigger thing that should be addressed because it is fairly consistent. Well, okay, that is it for this edition of Q&A. Please let me know in the comments down below what other questions you might have so that I can collect them for the next edition of Q&A, and that I can address them and then maybe test them out. Or if you have some comments that you believe that are worth addressing as well, that's also something that's worth considering and adding. If you add them as comments in this video, then that makes it significantly easier for me and much more likely that I'm going to be checking these out, because these are the first ones that I actually check out, and then I check out the other videos as well and see what other comments that are maybe relevant that have popped up in the meantime that can be actually addressed in the edition of a Q&A. I hope that you liked the video. If you did, please like and subscribe and ding the notification bell in the description below to get notified on mydeepguide, new videos that come out on mydeepguide, and also check out mydeepguide.com/shop for MDO and MMP, more details in the description below, dedicated playlists, check out to see if that's a product for you or not. Either way, purchasing those helps the support independence of mydeepguide. Thank you so much for watching. Stay safe, stay healthy. See you in the next video. Bye.